The year was 1723. The British colonies along the eastern coast of North America were still young, surrounded by endless forests, towering mountains, and rivers that stretched far beyond any known map. Every sunset brought darkness that swallowed entire villages, and every journey into the wilderness carried the risk of never returning. To the settlers, the forest was more than a place of trees. It was a land filled with mystery, whispered legends, and secrets no one could explain. In the small frontier settlement of Jamestown, Virginia, lived a 38-year-old hunter named Thomas Carter. Unlike most settlers, Thomas spent weeks alone in the wilderness, trapping animals, mapping rivers, and searching for new trade routes. He knew the sounds of wolves, the tracks of bears, and the changing moods of the forest better than anyone. Yet there was one valley he never entered. The local tribes warned that strange lights appeared there at night, and travelers who ventured too far often returned frightened, or never returned at all. One cold October morning, Thomas decided to ignore the warnings. Carrying only his flintlock rifle, hunting knife, and a leather journal, he crossed a narrow river and entered the Forbidden Valley. The air felt unnaturally silent. There were no birds singing, no insects buzzing, only the sound of the wind moving through ancient oak trees. After walking for hours, he noticed something that made him stop in disbelief. Hidden beneath thick vines stood a small wooden cabin, weathered by time but still standing strong. No map mentioned it, and no settler had ever spoken of its existence. The cabin looked abandoned, yet the wooden door showed fresh scratches, as if someone had opened it only days before. Thomas slowly pushed the door open. Inside, he found a fireplace filled with cold ashes, a rough wooden table, and shelves holding rusty iron tools. But what caught his attention was a leather-bound diary resting beneath a layer of dust. The first pages were impossible to read, but one sentence remained perfectly clear. "If you find this place, leave before the third sunset." Thomas laughed quietly, believing it to be nothing more than an old warning written by a frightened traveler. He placed the diary inside his pack and decided to spend the night in the cabin. As darkness covered the valley, a strange blue glow appeared between the trees. It drifted silently through the forest like floating lanterns. Thomas stepped outside, expecting to find other settlers. Instead, he found only silence. The glowing lights disappeared the moment he walked toward them. The next morning, he discovered something even stranger. Around the cabin were dozens of footprints, but none belonged to humans. They were too large for wolves and too narrow for bears. Even more unsettling, every track ended abruptly, as though the creatures had vanished into thin air. Thomas carefully sketched the prints in his journal, determined to learn the truth. As the second night arrived, the mysterious lights returned, this time much closer. From deep within the woods came the distant sound of voices speaking in a language he had never heard. The voices were soft, almost like whispers carried by the wind. Thomas followed them until he reached a circle of enormous stones covered in unfamiliar carvings. In the center lay a rusted compass spinning wildly, refusing to point north. Fear began to replace curiosity. Remembering the warning in the diary, Thomas hurried back to the cabin. But when he arrived, the diary had disappeared. The fireplace, which had been cold only moments before, was burning with fresh flames. A single wooden chair slowly rocked back and forth as though someone invisible had just stood up. Before sunrise, Thomas fled the valley without looking back. When he returned to Jamestown, he told no one exactly what he had seen. He only drew a rough map marking the valley with a single sentence. Some places are forgotten for a reason. Years later, after Thomas died, other explorers searched for the mysterious cabin using his map. None of them ever found it. The valley remained silent, untouched, and unexplained. Even today, historians debate whether Thomas Carter truly discovered an abandoned colonial outpost, encountered a forgotten Native American sacred site, or simply became lost in one of America's oldest forests. His journal survives only in fragments, and no evidence has ever confirmed the existence of the cabin. Yet every generation brings new stories from hikers who claim to have seen strange blue lights deep within the forests of colonial Virginia, lights that vanish before anyone can reach them.